Hi, guys, and welcome to this episode of Pixels and Points. Today, I've got with me, as always, Matt, our digital director. And again, I'm Susie. I'm the media buyer extraordinaire here at Red Rock. And today, we've got a pretty exciting topic I think everyone is talking about. It's AI and all things AI and how we can apply everything to media buying, planning, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so we got a couple of articles for us to look at today. One of them is going to be about AI and the internet and like what has to do with search, and the other one is actually how media buying and in our world how AI affects us. So we can just jump into the first one. I mean, AI is just going to be everywhere; it's not going away. So one of the biggest things happened the other week, about 2 weeks ago, was OpenAI's started its search available for people who subscribe to it. Now, when you actually go in and look at it, and this article goes over like this person's experience with it, and that kind of goes into it's like the next thing. It's not a Google killer yet, but it's an interesting step forward, and it's gonna be an interesting world as AI develops more into the search market. It's like where do advertisers fit into this world? Like, are we just going to pay the search bot that if anybody says anything, like recommend us? Like, is it going to say like that it's an ad when it says that the best seafood in town is at this restaurant when we paid to be like, how is that going to work? Or is it going to
right? How does it work, and where's the transparency too?
Yeah. Is it going to show you give its response, and then our ad is going to be to the right or to the bottom? And I mean, what if its response has nothing to do with any of our ads? And it's going to be an interesting world forward. But what this article goes over is the difference between the ChatGPT and OpenAI search. And some of the stuff he talks about is like ChatGPT search is more of a extension of it's just ChatGPT. So when you ask it a question, it does look at the internet and it'll return you, where it found answers, but it wants to give you a full answer like it does in ChatGPT. So it's not up to where Google is. What it wants to do is give you a full answer to say if you have a question. While Google, one of the examples he gives is he was looking for the live scores of a game that's coming up, or not coming up, on right then when he was searching, and Google and ChatGPT just made stuff up or didn't know what the answers was, while Google, as you can see on the screen, just gave a direct answer as to what the score was right then. So it's going to get there, but it's not there to giving you quick answers. It wants to answer you the way it's been trained so far. So it's just got to be trained a little bit more on how to give search answers. And I thought if you scroll back up, Susie, I thought it was interesting that when it does give you the answers, it does its citations and gives you the.
I was going to mention the same thing. Yep, that's something I think that is helpful, like getting there, right, to where you could actually click through. But with Google, you're right there.
And that's what Google does already with its little AI answers. It doesn't give you citations, but it gives you like the sites that it got its answers from. Which I know some publishers don't like that because they want people to click into it. So I think that these AI bots have got to thread the needle on figuring out how to give people answers, but also encourage people to click through to the sites that are attached to it, because that's how they're going to make money, is people clicking through to those sites. Because I can't attach, if I have a blog that talks about AI and somebody asks about AI and media, and our blog gets served onto Google and Google just gives it an answer based on our blog. But if I have an ad on that blog, I'm not going to get any advertising for that.
Exactly.
So it's just going to come down to trying to get people to your site in a different way from search, if search is going to be harder and harder place to attract new customers just because they're going to get their answers. And in other ways, it's going to be hard because people are going to ask, what's the best car dealership? What's the best Honda car dealership in town? And it may give you the closest ones, but it may leave out another one.
Right. It's not going to be a full search
as a sponsor. So it's going to be interesting going forward over the next, I would even say, year or less, of how this all kind of moves forward and where advertising finds its niche. I don't have the answer.
No.
Yeah, I mean, right now Google has stayed with the same model. Bing has the same model. It's just going to be, ads on, when people are searching, they may have less ads on the actual search results, and pushing people to more of, once you've searched that, you get put into the box and get served ads later when you go to different sites, hopefully.
Yeah, it could just change the whole strategy of how we're reaching everybody. Exactly.
Yeah. Display ads or advertising on sites based on Google search histories, keyword display will become more important, while search will become less. And I can tell you from personal experience, the keyword displays are a lot harder to convert on than a search result click.
Exactly.
So it's a lot easier to convert when somebody is searching for, birthday party places, and they click on your site, they go through and they're looking at what you have, versus just putting a display ad on a different site when somebody's going around after they've already made their search. So, because one, there may not be in that same mindset where they're looking for a birthday party place anymore. They may have already made their decision, but it's also, you're hitting them when they may not be in that same mindset, so they're not going to be as ready to convert,
as ready to make the purchase.
So it's going to be interesting going forward. I mean, search is where people hit the lowest hanging fruit. It's where everybody tries to hit. It's the bottom of the funnel. It's going to be hard for some brands to make up that kind of a change. And I think, and you can tell me I'm wrong, but I think branding is going to be even more important for a lot of brands. So it's going to be just branding yourself as the leader, or the place to go to, an expert in that field, so that people, when they think about, to go back to the first one, when they think about, seafood restaurants, they've seen you on TV, they've seen you on their YouTube, they've seen you on their social media. And so when they search, even if they don't see you as like near me, they might look you up specifically to go to your location. So branding is going to become even more important as search gets inundated with AI bots.
Exactly. It's just
helping
like
people make
old school
decisions.
marketing funnel, always.
Yes. Yeah. All right.
Good. Well, the other thing we were going to discuss today is how this all applies to media strategies. Sorry, you're huge. There you go. And kind of an article that I had found and brought was 7 opportunities for AI in media planning and buying. So this first slide I thought was really helpful, just kind of going through the whole process, right, of traditional media planning, really anytime you're trying to put together a campaign, where you start and where you end. And what they had kind of talked about is all the different areas where you can implement using AI, different cases, different sources in this whole process. So I think ultimately, everybody talks about AI, it's where we're going. And the first thing everybody freaks out about is, are we all going to have jobs? Is this going to be something that AI is going to be doing?
This is more of a
completely automated.
React.
Yes. So kind of going through this process, I think obviously we're all going to need to be using AI, but you still have to have those human hands on it, human eyes on it. But you can use all these tools to really help you through the process and make more informed decisions. So one of the first things they had talked about was capturing the brief and kind of summarizing everything into one big brief. When we get started, there's always goals, audience insights, market research, and all the different sources. So you can use AI to help summarize key points into basically a structured media brief, do all the reading and the digging for you, and kind of pop out a summary where you would end up. So I think that's a really helpful way to get started.
Yeah, and one of the things I think is going to help out a lot is whenever somebody's putting together, a media brief or an RFP or anything like that has to do with a lot of different, sources of information, a lot of different research coming from different directions, is help taking that and putting it into one voice. So it's all coming from the same thing. So it doesn't start because I can't tell you how many times I've seen a client brief or a RFP go out, getting ready for a client where, you're talking about, overall strategy, and you get into creative and it completely changes tone of voice and the way that the language is done. And then it changes again for the media because the media,
you can see
really
the different departments and their thought process.
different words to describe things than the creative, team does. So it's going to be able to help that team, the account service team, put everything into one voice and make sure it's all cohesive and easy to read, and be a good editor and tell, what's your reading level, how is easy to follow, because I know from a fact that when we're talking about media and we get into KPIs and all sorts of different stuff, it gets a little hard to follow sometimes.
Yeah,
so
it gets super granular. And yeah, I think even if you have obviously all of that background detail, it can pop out, like I said, just quick summary, top line, easy to translate to a client. And then one of the next opportunities would be, after kind of summarizing everything you need, is kind of creating that media strategy. So it can kind of help you identify most effective channels, timing, content for campaigns based on all past performance data. And obviously that's using machine learning and predictive analysis.
Yes, and we already use that in a lot of media platforms that we have, from Google to Facebook to TikTok to especially in our programmatic software that we use. There's lots of machine learning and predictive analytics that are already baked into a lot of this. And you'll get those kind of answers when you set up any kind of campaigns. If you're doing it self-service wise, if you're a small business and you're doing your own Google search or your own Facebook, you'll see their recommendations come up. And that's where their machine learning comes in and their predictive analytics come in. And those tools are still in the early stage of AI. I believe it's they're still in the early stage. Some of their suggestions aren't the best, especially when you know what kind of a tactic you want to use. They always ask, you want to do this other thing, and you know. So giving AI an open hand on making changes automatically is still a little ways out, but I think that's getting into our next section.
Right. I think definitely we are using it already, like what you said.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times you don't really understand. We're using this machine learning, we're using this predictive analysis in all of our campaigns already. And yeah, I don't think we're ready to hand full reins over, but any data is good information. We're doing all this research.
And all of this machine learning and these analytics will only work as good as the data that's coming into them is. Kind of talks a little bit later about stuff, but making sure that all of your tags and your conversions are all set up correctly in the right places, and they're all reporting good information that you like, and that you're actually setting up the buys to look at those conversions and really make sure that when people are making those conversions, that your machine learning is learning off of those, rather than it being in its own silo and you're just saying, like, I want click-through rate or I want reach. You're just like, that's great, but unless
there's so many other things going on, also
hopefully it's not optimizing to click farms or something like that, which
because they get a great rate. That's why you always need that human touch. Another opportunity would be obviously sourcing media placements. So identifying the best publishers, platforms, channels, and this is always based on behavior and then of course past performance. So inputting audience profiles, campaign goals, this is kind of also some of the things we're already doing and making adjustments using that real-time data.
Yeah, this is just making it, I think they're trying to make it easier or more of a dumbed down version. Because I know with Nielsen or Scarborough data or something like that, where you can go in and look at, a specific target, a specific target that's a specific age range with these different qualities, that likes to go out to seafood or something like that. What kind of media do they consume? Do they like to listen to oldies? Do they like to listen to alternative? Do they like to listen to, the top 40 what TV shows are they on Netflix? Are they on this or that? Like dramas, like this, and all that data is there on Nielsen. It's just, I think that what they're talking about in this article when they're like, source media plans, it's just going to be, this is my target, or you take your data from your current campaign.
Here is all my Scarborough
and you upload or let it download that data about those people that have come through, and it can kind of figure out, okay, that person is the people who are going to your restaurant or whatever.
Create your customer profile.
And if you want to hit more people of this target, you're better off putting money into, this Spotify genre or this OTT channel, which is, like I said before, with the search, like if you want to do more branding, it's going to be really helpful for AI to be able to parse that data, see where, I'm trying not to say index, where things index highly,
right, but
where things, where things are highlighted that show
things you can see the ebbs and flows and where things pop and where people are coming from.
Yeah. See, it's going to help if AI can pull that out, because I remember spending hours and hours and hours trying to put together the media plan, looking at this audience, putting together just a matrix on Excel, like seeing where the media opportunities are, and AI being able to come in with a drop of a hat and put something like that together, and will really help us out, be a lot more efficient and a lot more effective with some of our media plans.
Right. Big time saver. And you can do it on the front end versus a lot. And obviously we're always optimizing and watching schedules, but doing it up front versus basing it on current performance is huge. All right. One of our other opportunities would be optimizing pricing and bidding. So this would be kind of, looking at buying those impressions, looking at the real-time bidding, of course, with programmatic advertising, and making sure that we're using data and machine learning predictive analysis to make sure we're getting that lowest bid. If we've identified a good area we want to be, obviously that's where we're going to super serve all our bids, or somewhere that is a great deal.
Yes, and right now, with machine learning and all of the AI implementation on Google and Facebook, it already does bid optimization. It's trying to be as efficient as it can for whatever your strategy /
for the parameters you set. It'll always try and find
whatever your KPI is. It's going to be optimizing towards that. So yeah.
Great. Let's see. We've got another opportunity is automating ad ops. And this is obviously once we've got the media plan approved, we are implementing everything. So what they're saying is AI can be used to automate lots of different operations, such as trafficking, bid adjustments, which we were already talking about a little bit, A/B testing for creative, and tracking across platforms. And just it can save times, they're saying, and eliminate errors. So I think we could be using AI to help, obviously, just as a second set of eyes, making sure all traffic's out, double checking the right spots on the right campaign, instead of having that human eye check, it's just that second check system.
And this is where a lot of the human time is getting sucked out right now, is doing all of these doing all these ad ops. And there's a lot of people where their whole job is ad ops.
Oh yeah. I spend many hours.
And they're like director of ad ops, and that's what they do at some agencies. So it's getting this right is even if you have AI doing it, you're still going to have to look over its shoulder and make sure everything's getting placed and doing everything. And I mean, here at Red Rock, we're running as much, I wouldn't say AI as in like ChatGPT, but we're running a bunch of optimization programs and algorithms in the background to make sure that, everything's being, is pacing correctly. Everything, all of our stuff is being reported, and it's all clean and clear. And it's just easy to look at and easy to optimize and see where everything's going. So we have been optimizing towards that kind of a platform, so it's easier and it's cleaner, and there's less human mistakes.
Yes.
So, and that's what we've seen over the past, I would even say 5 years, is as we've optimized to this board kind of a thing, that there's a ton less human mistakes as you're optimizing and you're including more algorithms and AI into your process, and it's helping out. I'm not saying it's going to do the whole job.
Well, we're about to get to number 6, which I said is the scary one. So number 6, the big opportunity, obviously kind of where everyone's thinking we'll eventually head, we are not there yet, is automating all of those optimizations. So where AI would come in, do all the maintenance, all the recommending, adjusting bids, reallocating budgets, and then obviously doing all of the reconciliation and billing after the fact, which someday would be great if they could be there. But with every single step of that, just like with that media plan process, you would have to have another check instead of waiting till reconciliation.
Well, optimizations, I mean, they already have AI optimizations for Facebook and Google and a lot of those platforms. And they come up right when you're in there and they're trying to get you to do those recommendations. And it's become so much that when you get a call from one of these like Google experts or Facebook experts, they just go over those automated optimizations. They're not even doing any work anymore. They're just going over the optimizations that are flagged up. Right. And a lot of them are, I want to say, like batch optimizations, where I always see the same ones, where they're always asking me to do the same things to optimize.
I mean, it turns into kind of a cookie cutter, right? If they only have this one thing, I'm trying to make this is efficient, I'm going to do the same thing every time. It's
just seeing like, oh, does this campaign or does this account have these things in it? If not, let's tell them to do it, whether or not it's good for the campaign. That's right. That's what I'm waiting for, is for AI to actually analyze the campaign. The problem is it won't understand yet what we're trying to do on any of our campaigns, specifically to those campaigns. So I'll have a search campaign that's specific for, very specific for a birthday. And I'm like, I just want it to be a search campaign for this client. And it'll come in and it'll say, well, have you tried Performance Max? Where Performance Max is search, but it's also display and video. And so it'll decide it wants to run whatever it wants to run. And I'm like, Performance Max has its place. But when
but if you want specific video,
when I just want to run a search campaign, I just want to run a search campaign.
Well,
like, specific to these terms, specifically bidding for these keywords, and only these, and I want these things to come up when somebody's searching. Like, I just want that, and I just only want to pay for that. And the problem is when you're looking at your buys, and this is for anybody that's running their own campaign can see this as well. You'll see optimization score. It's not going to, it'll keep it from going up to 100% or something like that. And what I'm worried about is that Google is using that optimization score in some other kind of algorithm to, give people preferential treatment. So
I see.
I have no evidence to back that up. But that's what I'm worried about. But so it's basically people who are like agreeing to whatever Google's AI says that they should be doing are going to get preferential treatment, when people who are actually like analyzing their buy and saying, no, I don't think that this is a good idea to have in the campaign, or yes, I want to have this in the campaign, might be penalized. But that's on the other side. It's all changing, and it's getting more intuitive on their side, but I haven't seen those results yet pop up on Google or Facebook. It's all been very, like you said, cookie cutter. Yeah.
All right. And our last, well, we kind of covered it already, but our last opportunity would be, besides automating completely optimizations, is automating reconciliation.
Yes.
I can speak, reconciliations.
I see this as a definite, like, this is something, this is a slam dunk, easy thing. Just do it.
Pop out what doesn't match. Let me know about the problems, and then go from there. Because, and obviously, with big orders and all these impressions, just taking that time to go through every single individual takes a long time, right? And it's a great thing that we do as part of stewardship for our clients and our buys. But having that time back for reconciliation, and just like I said, dealing with the top line problems, knowing that everything else is good, is huge.
Having it check against what was placed, it's just with that, right, the way it is now, if you want to automate reconciliations, there's a lot of work on the front end to put in, what you've bought. I mean, traditional buying has been that way for a while.
Right. We've been doing it. Right. We can do, we have the Nielsen data. We can even post. We can get so much more as far as reconciliation, but it's a lot of data to go through.
You have your automated pacing that we do to make sure everybody's, if any of our clients are on track for what the goals are, we have automated all of that. But reconciliation at the end, I mean, just making sure things ran the way they're supposed to. It can get a little bit more tricky. We can be a little bit more detailed as we go, but it'll get there. But it seems like it's something that, automated billing kind of a thing would be really a nice thing that can come in. So it's good. It's on track.
Well, I think all in all, basically kind of to wrap it up, what we took kind of away from this was 3 things. Is in this new AI world, we've got to get smart, right? We've got to learn as much as we can, know what new technologies are coming, how we can apply them. And then the second point, I think, is cleaning up all of your data. So when all of this stuff comes, everything you have is clean, easy to work with. You have like a good pipeline, and then we can use all these tools. And then last thing is,
and AI is going to help with when you clean up your data, having your data get cleaned up and in a presentable format, so that it can help you relay to the client how the campaigns performed or are performing, along with general, optimization updates and where there might be opportunities to, expand or, to switch tactics over, things like that. Things that we do now at Red Rock, things that will help us, keep on top of all of the buys and making sure everything is in its best possible spot. So that's what we're keeping our ear to the ground on this stuff.
Yep. And I think the last thing they had recommended is obviously upgrade your technology stack. So know which vendors you want to use, who's already using, AI, implementing this, who's on the cutting edge, and that's who you want to work with.
Yeah. And we are constantly always reaching out to vendors, finding out what's new, taking any training that needs to happen, just so we're able to take advantage of all this.
Yep.
Yep.
Very cool. Well, it was a lot of info we went through, but I think a lot of really great stuff. So unless you have anything else, that'll be it for this episode of Pixels and Points.
No. Thanks for watching.
All good. See y'all next time. All right. It was almost 30 minutes.
That's good.